Greetings and salutations, my beautiful friends. This is Archangel. What many people don't know is that, actually, I am an Avenger fighting injustice. And how did this come to be? The making of a devaluation Avenger goes a little something like this. I was born male. This means, like all other males, I was a Ferrari, tricked into believing myself a beat-up old farm truck. A beat-up old farm truck who then sat around wishing he could be a Ferrari, so that people would like him, and so that exalted, beautiful, benevolent angels would grace me and sit in my driver's seat. Anyhow, because I was born male, I was ultimately born a shovel to serve the true royalty of the human race, born into service and subjugation to females. And inevitably, I was denied affection and approval from these goddesses as a tactic of behavior training and manipulation in order to compel me to take a saddle and bit into my mouth willingly, as they do most males. Long story short, females throughout my life denied me free, unadulterated affection. Ignorantly and naively, I assumed that I was not favored by female kind because I was aesthetically objectionable, ugly, and muscularly inferior. I was, of course, oblivious to reality, that males are shovels. Females only care about a male's utility, and hence they do not care about males' looks, only their provision and production. Males eventually come to realize that strong hands that toil and a fat wallet go a lot further than boy band looks on males. When you seriously awaken, you will see that females, why would they care about what their brooms or rakes or shovels look like? Just do what you're supposed to do, then get out of sight. That's why it is common to see supermodels with Donald Trump types. Anyhow, to my pre-red pill understanding and reasoning, I assumed that affection would follow an upgrade of my curb appeal. So, bing bang boom, I changed my physique through weight training and eventually found my way into exotic dancing. Pretty much stripping. Now, whether it was from enhanced confidence or because of a female's tendency to covet and pursue what other females desire, either way, I suddenly found myself on females' radar. And I went from female affection starvation to affection solicitation and inundation. I went from famine to feast. I went from freezing temperatures to sultry heat like that. Of course, the flies and vultures come out when there is roadkill. Leeches come out of the woodwork when you are deemed hot property. Otherwise, you are simply a nondescript shovel to feed a tax machine. Yet being on a female's radar, being in demand in whatever way, gave me my avenging superpowers. I was the one being pursued. I was in demand. Essentially, I had the gold and I made the rules. Females pursued me and jumped to my whims. However, this sudden attention inundation from females was too little too late. I had already began choking down red pills over gynocentrism, hypergamy, and male devaluation. I was damaged by male devaluation, and so I twisted female solicitation into my using them simply for the sake of using them, feeding back to them doses of their own medicine. I saw myself as a righteous avenger, giving females a taste of their own treatment for all the times I and every other male had been abused, then discarded. For all the times we as a sex have been used for utility and protection, then tossed aside to die for female benefit. My time as this undercover avenger was also a course, a learning experience into human behavior and motivations. If given certain circumstances and proper conditions, humans run on autopilot and reptilian instinct. I am a very feeling and compassionate being who has, after much effort, transcended primitive instincts. I have turned my back completely on procreation, which most people do not do. They simply follow their biological imperatives. I consider myself caring and fair, and I do not wish harm on anyone, aside from a good butt-whooping for their own good, which is called tough love. Yet in the early days of being the male devaluation avenger, even I held my conscience for ransom and gagged my ethics as I pursued my vendetta against the malevolent sex who ruthlessly usurp utility from the male sex. You see, I and other males have been abused simply because of our sex. Then, when the opportunity presented itself for females to solicit attention from me, the grunting, knuckle-dragging, burping, farting, mouth-breathing, protruding foreheaded mutant man-ape? Yeah, now it was go time, and I reverted from enlightened nice guy to jaded pirate bent on revenge because of the environment. And this is how I can generalize female nature and fall asleep at night soundly, trusting in the accuracy of such observations. Because I am acutely familiar with human nature, which is to stand on the backs of others and get ahead on somebody else's dime. Females may be endowed with higher morality capability, yet still, if given the right environment, they will revert to basal instincts and coast on autopilot. And in an environment where males will do everything, including die, for females, this is the fruitful soil in which females cease to develop higher functioning and morality, and they simply settle for the usurping of male utility and taking full advantage of the entitlements offered to them, while becoming greedy and demanding more and more and more. I also realize that because of this environment, females will not change unless compelled to, as in men turning their backs on females and hence females rethinking their behavior and treatment upon the stark realization that they depend on males for their very existence. At first, I let females throw themselves at me and do things for me because I was playing catch-up from years of female neglect. Then I saw females in their truest sense, and as these red pills circulated throughout my system, and I recognized female nature belying every female action, deed, or word that they only did for me because they wanted utility from me, they performed a courtship dance to entrance me, so that they may turn the tables and have me protect and provide for them once I was hooked on their drug of romantic affection. Thus, females throwing themselves at me was part of their agenda to court me, which was conducive to the master plan, which was to break this wild bad boy stripper and compel him to stop his whinnying and bucking long enough to accept a saddle and bit, like every other male. Females like a chase. They like the challenge. They want to be the one to claim that they broke a wild stallion. The more I recognized female usury of males, the more I blindfolded and gagged my conscience over using females and treating them less than hospitably, as I decided to fight fire with fire. Looking back, I am not proud that I callously manipulated others. On the other hand, I manipulated females who indifferently use males for their labor and lives. And if anybody deserves a taste of their own medicine, it was indeed females. And on that note, I took pleasure in the fair play turnabout. Still, I'm better than that. I am better than treating others in an ill fashion. Yet, for a time, I felt justified. I was an avenger for the male collective by repaying collective female usury and manipulation back onto them in kind. I did not use females for sex. Please. In fact, I never slept with any of these females that I teased with sex by leading them on while I usurped labor and materials from them. Yes, I absolutely compelled them to lavish me with money, gifts, labor, all the while they begged for my attention. Yeah, I know, this all sounds highly improbable, that females would beg any male, let alone me, for sex, or pamper or coddle me. But they did, and I know this because I was there. For years, beautiful females of all creeds and backgrounds threw themselves at me, and I did not have sex with any of them. At this juncture, people might ponder, if I had it so good, why am I involved in male liberation, or MGTOW? If the gravy train was so abundant, why am I not still aboard it? Yes, because, as I stated, this sudden inundation of female attention and solicitation came after I had started taking red pills and saw the smiling Cheshire cats for what they really were. So my milk was already spoiled. I was offended by their fakeness, by their desire to chase and pursue me just to break me of being a wild bad boy. That was for one. For two, superficial associations and manipulations for personal greed is a shallow existence. And three, the plight of males being used and discarded by millions every second of every day. This is unacceptable, and I feel a higher calling to rail against male devaluation and disposability. I feel an indescribable fire within me to engage gynocentrism. I am not the type who can board himself up in a castle and gorge on turkey legs and wine while the hundreds of thousands of peasants outside the walls starve. Still, for much time, I was a double agent aboard that gravy train. I was Vlad the Impaler, running through my sword of righteousness upon my adversary. So, with enthusiasm, I treated many uterine possessors less than favorably, and the more they did for me, the more I demanded. This is how I understand the insatiable female demand for ever-increasing male utility and prostration. I understand female nature after years of observation and epiphany congruous with MGTOW philosophy. I literally had dozens upon dozens upon dozens of females get butt naked before me and beg me to take them. Yes, beg. How do I know? Because I was there, and every time I teased them or denied them, I pictured a pitiful, nondescript male out in the world somewhere who was being played and discarded by some female. And then I focused on the waves of millions being chewed up and spit out by the collective feminine, and my resolve would coalesce sharper than it had been before. And thus I manipulated females into utility. Females would do my chores, some would do them naked, and I would simply deny them affection as I told them about all the spots that they missed while they were cleaning. Females traveled from other cities or states on their own time and their own dime just to cook and clean for me and bring me gifts again and again. Every time I would deny them the affection that they thought that I might give them, or the physical affection I had teased them with on the phone. One female traveled clear across the country on her own provision after seeing my picture on the internet. She came here on her own dime, and I had another female go and pick this girl up from the airport 3 hours away and bring her to me. Then the hopeful traveler took me out everywhere and coddled me for the week that she was here, after which I sent her back to the airport without even having touched her. My friend got so flustered with me because this chick, she really was hot, and her body was like pow, and she was kinky, and he watched me play her. It wasn't so much that I was manipulating her that he took issue with, but rather that I was not indulging in the 7 days of Greek orgy that this girl from across the country had flown here to offer me. She had put out all this time, effort, and expense to bring herself to me and throw herself at my feet, and I simply played it. Other females paid my bills for me and bought my dog toys and treats and food. Others did my grocery shopping and would leave the groceries on my doorstep. Others would leave cards with money or gift cards on my doorstep or under my windshield wipers. I would give females a list of items to fetch for me from the store, and when they would deliver me my demands, rather than thank them, I would make up something that they missed just to mess with them. One gal took me to a posh ski resort for the weekend. I did not take my wallet at all. She took me to some romantic dinner on Saturday night where we were the only people in the restaurant. It really was a romantic dinner in the truest sense. Then later, in the hotel, she got naked and begged me to take her. My response? I turned on the TV and told her to quiet down. Yep. Still, other times, other girls would get naked at all hours of the day and stick their boobs or their vagina in my face and implore me to just touch them, and I would just roll my eyes. And females would beg me to get naked for them, which I refused every time, and this only seemed to fuel their desire to see me in my birthday suit. I had females feed, wash, and groom me, tuck me into bed and tell me stories or sing to me. Then I would remind them to turn off the lights and lock the front door as they were leaving to go home and sleep in their own bed, not mine. One female lived in another city and gave me her car, her only transportation, and I already had 3 cars at the time. Yes, all true. Females have lied, cheated, stole, and assaulted others over me. And these were attractive females, not hillbilly trolls. You see, I am extremely picky when it comes to female physical appearance, and I will not waste my time with females I am not completely attracted to. Many of my friends, many times, would like to have thrown me a beating for my own good, because they watched me so indifferently use such attractive females without consummating a single association. These events to which I speak occurred over a period of a few years, and in many different parts of the country. Yes, there were a lot of missed opportunities for me to have sexual congress with many attractive, beautiful females. But then again, I had a different agenda. I mean, sex? Pfft, who cares? Sex is a useless, temporary, transient enjoyment. It is 3 seconds of feel-good. It is ephemeral. It is not hard currency. Having intercourse with a gorgeous female is easy. Any male can get into the pants of a hot female if they have the right key. Usually, it's a fat wallet. However, getting a hot female to buy you a car, that is impressive. By this time, I had lived long enough to realize that males were utilities to females, and the female collective, for their part, do not care about males nor their welfare. And though I did not know that these words existed, I was aware of hypergamy and gynocentrism before this terminology had presented itself to me, and I was MGTOW before I had formally been introduced to like-minded males. I have been far beyond the illusion of female benevolence and tender fragility for quite some time now, and I'm aware of females for the opportunists they are. I was simply applying the same usury to them that they applied to naive, unsuspecting males. I was simply visiting female slights back on to the female sex. I mean, we're all equal, right? Tit for tat. An eye for an eye. Good for the goose, good for the gander. Isn't that right? Females are big girls. They can take it, huh? So, ladies, you like to use males? Okay, be prepared to be used in return. I could not have cared about sex any less. I was on a mission to effect some sort of cosmic justice onto the collective feminine. What goes around, comes around, yes? Well, I was the come around to females for the hurt they inflicted, either willingly or unconsciously, onto males. I have seriously had high numbers of strikingly attractive females pander to me, and all the while I did not get naked or sleep with a single one. In fact, I feel empowered, and I am exceedingly impressed with the strength and control I exhibited in the face of such carnality and hot, young, supple female entertainment. Oh, I was absolutely attracted and turned on by every one of them, and I took pride in and seemed to have a talent for getting females naked and dripping wet with desire to the point where the mirrors fogged up. Meanwhile, I was still fully clothed, and I could completely shut them down. Oops, oh, look at the time. Time for you to go. You need to leave. And of course they would beg or try to tie me up and take it, or they would try to take my hand and place it in their pants or under their shirt in hopes that I might concede. Nope. I won't get into specifics, but this is not me bragging, and nobody has to believe anything. I am not here to fish for ego stroking or high fives from others. I simply relay this in juxtaposition to the Agent Smith video, where I describe how pathetically dependent upon female validation I was in my teenage days. So you see, I have had all different observational vantage points. I have been all around this creature we call the human female. I have begged and I have been begged. I have pampered and I have been pampered. I have served and I have been served. So I have a very generous experiential databank to draw from in my conclusion on the human animal. Interestingly enough, gazillions of males around the world have come to the same conclusion as I with my polarizingly varied background. Males are seeing that male exodus is the only humane recourse from male devaluation and disposability. So this little experience demonstrates something to me, and I realize that otherwise good, caring, compassionate humans can override compassion and conscience in order to use and manipulate others, especially when they have been mistreated themselves. I am caring with a good heart, yet for a time I was able to twist my caring feelings and ignore my conscience and mistreat others. I realize that otherwise good people can twist themselves into malevolence and malice. I surmise that females deep inside are good people, yet their environment allows them to twist and turn into callous, manipulative vultures. And these experiences that I am relaying to you here give me some degree of sympathy for females. However, my priority remains with eradicating male devaluation and disposability. Furthermore, when someone solicits and pampers and coddles you, it's easy to see them as utilities of labor or provision, utilities that are devoid of feelings or worth, much like humans view cattle. And having a taste of what females lavished upon me, which pales in comparison to what the collective masculine lavishes upon the collective feminine, I understand how females can bypass conscience and view and treat males as expendable utilities. Then, on top of all that, females are biologically wired to use males for protection and provision. Whew! Males never had a chance of value in this mortal existence. The moral of the story is this: avenge male devaluation, become a disposability avenging superhero, and visit females' medicine back onto females. No, actually it's not, and I am not proud of mistreating others. I am better than that. We are better than that. And rather than getting our hands dirty and miring our brilliance and beauty down in filth, the most humane course is to simply walk away. Don't get pulled down into the abuse game. Walk away from it. You see, whether because of instinctual programming or environment, females do not care about male welfare. They have no instinctual room for male compassion, and they have no incentive for compassion from a moral platitude. Not that anyone should need incentive to do the right thing or treat others kindly. And kindness is males walking away, leaving females to their own self-interest. Males are all alone. Females cannot, do not, and have not any incentive to care about male worth or welfare. Were you born with a Y chromosome, then you are and always will be a utility, a means to an end for females, despite any and all contrary lip service. A devaluation avenger? Yes, I was. But now I'm a liberation warrior, interested in the welfare of all beings. However, I still have my devaluation avenger suit in the closet, if I need it again. My brothers, I know many may question who I am and what knowledge or experiences I draw upon to make my message. This video is simply to show another angle that, well, believe you me, I have been all around the human female and observed them from more observational angles than even most males are privy to. I have had many experiences that the average male does not have. And I am telling you, I have done more time in the trenches than the average male. Thus, I can rest assured that my generalities regarding the sexes is honest, true, and applicable to 21st century Earth. I am confident in the messages I give out. My friends, stand with me, live free.